What's up, YouTube friends? If you've been watching my videos this past month, I show you how to make Christmas cookies and holiday treats. Today I'm going to show you how to make this quilted scrappy strip stocking that will be perfect to hold all those goodies. I hope you give this a try, and let's get started. To make this easy scrappy strip stocking, you will need 1 piece of batting, 1 piece of fabric for the backing, and 2 pieces of fabric for the lining, and those all measure 13 by 21 inches. You're going to need a 2.5 by 6 inch piece of fabric for the loop to hang your stocking. You'll need a piece of fabric 14.5 by 8.5 inches for the cuff of the stocking. You're also going to need a variety of strips. I dug through my strip basket and pulled out all the strips that I think had a Christmassy color to them. These all happen to be about 2.5 inches, but the width of your strips really doesn't matter. And if you don't want to do a scrappy strip, you can just cut another rectangle of fabric that's 13 by 21. The final thing you're going to need is a stocking template. And all I did to get mine was trace around a stocking that I already had that I like the shape of. But you could just go on Google, type in stocking templates, and then trace it right from your computer. You'll also need a sewing machine and your iron. The first step you want to do is take your batting, lay your template on it, and cut it out. And you should have something that looks like this. You then want to take a strip of your fabric and lay it across your stocking at an angle, and take another strip of fabric and lay it right sides together right on top of that strip. And we're going to take this over to our sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam down this strip, attaching it to our batting. You can put a couple pins in here just to hold it down to make your sewing a lot easier. As you can see, it's attached to the stocking. Now I do have this on my pressing mat, and the next thing we're going to want to do is to iron this flap open. Like that, and we're just going to leave these tails on here till the very end. Now grab another strip and lay it over the strip you just pressed back. And I don't know if you can see it here, but this fabric isn't completely straight, and that's okay. You just want to do a wider seam allowance then. So put your pins in and sew it down. And I'm just going to keep adding strips until this side of the stocking is full. Okay, you can see that we have this side of the stocking done. I did have to go through my scrap bin and find a tiny little scrap just to cover the top corner. The next thing you're going to want to do is turn it around and do the same process going the rest of the length of the stocking. Alright guys, here's my stocking. I have all my strips sewed on. It looks like a big mess right now, but our next step is you want to turn this over, and with scissors or your rotary cutter, you just want to cut out all the extra fabric right along the edge of the batting. And now you can see it looks a lot better. Next, you want to take one of your lining fabrics and put it face up. Take your other lining fabric and put it face down like this, so you can see that the lining fabrics, the pretty sides are touching. Then take your backing fabric and lay it face up. So there's 3 layers of fabric. Next, take your stocking. You want to lay it with the pretty sides of the fabrics down, and then cut around using this top stocking as your guide. Just like that. Now, without moving anything, you want to pin all 4 layers together. Now that you have it all pinned up, you're going to take it to your sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance around this whole stocking, leaving the top part right here open. And you should have something that looks like this. Now, if you want, you could come in here and clip the corners, but I don't think it's really that necessary. Now, our next step is we want to open up our stocking, and we're going to put our hand between our strip layer and our backing. And we're going to turn our stocking right side out. And then you want to give it a press with your iron. Now, as you can see, when we open up again, our lining is all in place. There's no raw edges. And you have a quilted, lined stocking. Now, the next step you want to do is your cuff. To find how long your cuff needs to be, we're going to measure the top of our stocking here. We're going to double that number and then add a 1/2 inch for a seam allowance. And mine just happens to be about 7 inches long, so I'm going to make my strip 14.5 inches long by 8 inches wide. And that's what I have right here. Now we're going to fold this in half lengthwise and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance down the side. Here is my seam. Now what we want to do is open this up and fold this in half. And you want to match up the unfinished edge to unfinished edge. And then press this flat. And now you see the cuff has pretty sides on the inside and outside. Now you want to set this aside for one moment and get your 2.5 inch strip by 6 inch strip, and this is what we're going to make the loop to hang our stocking. Now you want to fold this in half and press it. You could just finger press it here. You want to open it up and fold each edge into that fold like that, and then fold it again. So you have a strip that looks like this. Now we're going to take this to our sewing machine and sew down about 1/8 of an inch down the strip. And then you'll have your loop. Then take your stocking and open it up so that the lining is showing. You're then going to take your cuff and find your seam in it, and mine's right here. We're going to tuck that inside the stocking, and we're going to match this seam up with this seam right here on the back of the stocking. And pin. Now your cuff should fit perfectly down in the inside, and you just want to pin all the way around. And we're also matching up this raw side with this raw edge. Now you want to take your loop, you want to fold it in half, and you want to put it in the back of the stocking between your cuff and the lining fabric. And you want to stick it down in there. I like to have a little bit showing so I know I catch it. And you may want to put a pin there to hold your loop in place. Now we're going to take this back over to our sewing machine, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance, or you could probably do a 1/2, all the way around the circumference of your opening. Now I like to start right here in the back and go all the way around, and then don't forget to back stitch. Now you want to reach inside, pull out your cuff, and then turn it down to cover that raw edge. And there you have it. You have a quilted and lined stocking with no raw edges. I hope you like this video and give this stocking a try. If you like my videos and would like to see more of them, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask down below. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.